So I am happy to invite panelist, moderator, a wonderful journalist that you may know from aboutfraud.com, a really wonderful resource for the whole community, aboutfraud.com, and more recently journalist for the Merchant Fraud Journal and head of content at Okoora, and a wonderful friend to FraudCon, who was on the advisory board since last year and helped us so much to put content together, including this panel for this year. Ronen Shnidman.
Naama, if you'd like to introduce yourself with a couple of words.
Hello, everybody. My name is Naama Ben-Zvi, and I'm Executive Director for Biometric Applications and Identity in the INCD. It's a bit long, and also the Biometrics Commissioner of Israel, which means that my responsibility is to regulate within the Israeli government around national biometric projects and identity processes. And my connection to fraud is around maybe try to prevent fraud when it comes to government services being addressed online. Thank you.
Unfortunately, our second panelist, Roee Dar, could not make it today for logistical reasons. However, we have a nice introductory video from him where he gives us a little bit of background about the state of deepfakes.
Hello, everyone. I'm really sorry I couldn't make it to the event in person, but as Ronen requested, I've recorded this video to share some crucial insights about deepfakes and AI-manipulated content. First, let me introduce myself. My name is Roee Dar, and I am the CTO of Dtect, where I lead the development of AI solutions based on motion ID to counter deepfakes and AI-manipulated content. Today, I'll be discussing the dangers of deepfakes and AI-generated content, especially in the context of fraud and fraud prevention. With the rapid development of AI and generative models, we've seen significant advancements in many positive areas. However, these technologies also pose potential threats, particularly in fraud, affecting every aspect of our lives. Deepfakes, which are highly realistic manipulated digital media, have evolved rapidly since the term was coined in 2017. Initially gaining attention with generative adversarial networks, or GANs, the technology has since developed with other methods like diffusion models, face reenactment, and completely synthetic content. As these methods improve, it's becoming increasingly difficult to recognize and counter them. Moreover, the consequences of deepfakes for the world are significant. According to recent data, by 2026, 90% of content is expected to be AI-generated. In 2023 alone, there was a 31-fold increase in deepfake incidents, and 80% of organizations are worried about deepfakes frauds. Furthermore, deepfakes can be used in various fraudulent activities. For example, in the insurance industry, there are cases of fraudulent claims using manipulated evidence. Banks have experienced deepfake voice scams. Governments face the risk of manipulated public opinion and election campaigns, while individuals suffer from personal reputations being damaged by fake videos. Looking ahead, the potential impact of deepfakes continues to grow. New regulations, such as the EU's AI Act and Digital Services Act, as well as regulations in China, are starting to address these issues, emphasizing the need for transparency and accountability in the use of AI technologies. As we navigate this evolving threat, it's crucial to stay informed and vigilant. By understanding the technology and its implications, we can better protect ourselves and our organizations. Thank you for your attention, and enjoy the rest of FraudCon.
And now we have a shorter video from Naama, or a little bit of fun with some deepfakes.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, Naama, I'm fine. How are you doing?
Great. So you're somewhere in our offices in Tel Aviv, and I was wondering if there's a possibility that you would invite, like, I don't know, an actor or a celebrity to the conversation. How about inviting Nicolas Cage to speak with us?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, great. Wow, Nicolas Cage, you look so great. I'm
Oh,
hoping you're
thank you.
coming to Israel. What?
Thank you.
Yeah, please come to Israel very soon. How about inviting somebody else, like Ryan Reynolds, maybe? Ryan Reynolds. Oh, this is so great. Such an honor to have you here. How are you? Is it hot for you in Tel Aviv?
Too hot.
No, feeling great. So how about maybe who do I want to meet? How about Keanu Reeves? Can you have Keanu Reeves with us online?
No problem.
Keanu Reeves, the man and the legend. So I see everybody is coming to Tel Aviv, even though security issues and so forth. How is it so far, Keanu?
It's great. I came for the hummus.
Great, wonderful. So have fun in Tel Aviv and say Yam that we had to disconnect. So thank you for joining us and have a great day. Bye.
I hope you guys enjoyed the hummus comment as much as I did. And you've all been deepfaked. If you've been doing a Where's Waldo, Roee Dar's in the front row. Roee, come up. So, what can you tell us, Roee, about the level of sophistication of deepfakes now?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think I will lead into it by saying that the video that you saw me at the beginning of this talk, unlike videos that we've seen today before, such as the Mark Zuckerberg video, was done using 30 seconds of me speaking and an online software that you can buy for like $50, right? So the main thing to say about the technology today is that not only is it much, much better than it was a year ago, but it is much, much more available and free. You can get many, many different kinds of deepfakes and deepfake techniques, face swaps, like what we saw here with Naama, when you swap the face of someone onto yours, completely synthetic videos, which is more similar to what I've shown, which is a video that was completely generated from a machine. And in my opinion, the most dangerous kind that we have today, which is reenactment, where you can take a picture of a video of someone and transform not the face, but your facial movement onto that video. Not only can you do that, but you can do that in real time. That means in a video conference, you can answer questions as that person, and you can really pretend to be him in a way that is extremely convincing even today.
How prevalent are those reenactment technology services? Are those on the dark web, or are they open and available?
So that's a good question. First of all, no, you don't need the dark web to get this, this technology, but you do have levels. So you have the service. You can buy it for like $30 or free, depending what. You have, of course, in the dark web, different services. These services are usually more sophisticated, more targeted. Fraudsters and scammers are using them and have been using them already. And you also have just academic papers. I mean, it's true that anybody can use these deepfakes today, but somebody who knows a little bit about programming, knows a little bit his way around research, can just read the latest research, groundbreaking technology, and implement it on their own device, on the cloud. It's completely available.
Naama, do you have anything to add in terms of what the Israeli government is coming across?
The Israeli government are getting more and more into those areas and to see how, first of all, you see what you can make, what are the threats, basically. And what we've seen in the very funny little film that we've met that you've all laughed at was that you don't really know who you're talking to. And there's at least one company that we know of in Asia that lost $25 million out of it, out of that kind of scam. So first, you should know the threats. And then we are going more and more into trying to find some solutions around that, and also around awareness in the public. Basically, you should all know that if you put up more and more material of yourselves, whether these are images or videos and whatever, then you expose yourself more and more for somebody to take those and create a better and more sophisticated deepfake of you. You should know that, not only for privacy's sake, but also because this is a real threat.
So as opposed to elder scams, you're saying the digital natives, such as millennials and Generation Z, are more at risk?
Basically, yes. The millennials well, we see that the younger generation tends to put everything up to the web, anything you do from breakfast to dinner and to parties and so forth, and that's a real risk for the individual, basically.
Sorry, if I might add to that, I completely agree. Not only is it problematic that you post your videos and your voice that can be mimicked, but also your behavior, the way that things that you care about, things that you like or don't like, all of this can be used to create a profile of you. It's actually already have been used for different kind of targeted campaigns, but taking that and adding the aspect of high quality fake video is extremely dangerous, as you said, and millennials are extremely vulnerable.
So I think, Roee, you covered this to some extent in your video, but what sort of fraud applications exist for deepfakes?
Yeah, so the obvious things, I would say in general, anything you can think of that has a human flaw, right? Where some human needs to assess the situation by talking to someone, hearing someone, seeing a picture of someone. All of this is at stake. To be more specific, of course, bank transactions. If I want to make a big transaction, maybe I need to talk to my banker, maybe I need to go on a video call with him. Insurance fraud, anything from, pictures of the accident and different testimonials from people. All of this can be faked. Medical fraud, really anything that involves media.
I would say that about a decade ago, if you'd ask who is this person, that would be a much easier question to answer. Okay, this is the biometrics got into the online identification, and it grew and grew, and now we see the deepfake as a biometric event or biometric threat, because the who you are question is not that simple anymore. Could be anyone. And we have to see which way we go in order to minimize that threat when it comes to government services and banking and so forth, like Roee mentioned.
I think that's a perfect segue to the question of how do we mitigate the threat of deepfakes. Naama, you can start, actually.
Right. So I would say the eKYC arena is a bit more, I wouldn't say simple, but it's more a contained area to deal with if you compare it to the social media. Because in eKYC systems, you can try and use multiple tools in order to detect any kind of fraud. So there are the classical ways, okay? You have liveness, and you have the biometrics, and you have the cyber defense, and you have behavioral biometrics. And then you have to monitor the injection attacks, the deepfake attacks, and also try to implement algorithms that detect those deepfakes. As you understand, this is a whole process of risk assessment you have to do in your back office. There's no one size fits all, and there's no one method that is a silver bullet. You have to combine a few methods and data science and investigative methods in order for you to cope with those kind of attacks.
Roee, do you have anything to add?
Sorry?
Do you have anything to add?
Yes. First of all, I completely agree with Naama. I think the traditional ways, and especially the multi-layer approach is the right approach. There's not going to be one solution to solve everything. Maybe a little bit about how we try today to detect those fake videos. There are mainly three ideas. The first one is to actually detect the faking technique, meaning somebody is creating a fake video. I'm aware that he's using some sort of program. That program has almost always leaves behind clues, artifacts. Something is weird with the ears. Something is weird with the way the face moves. This could be visible to the human eye and not visible to the human eye. And for this, we have machine learning models that can detect this. This approach is, of course, flawed because you have to basically know what kind of methods are used to create the fakes in order to protect from them. So it's very much a cat and mouse kind of game. Another approach is the biometric approach. We'll not expand on it too much. This is actually what my company does, but this is why. But essentially trying to identify the unique way a person is behaving or talking and authenticating them in the video. So that's a biometric approach. And the last approach is a watermarking, which is perhaps when an image is creating, signing it in such a way that we can verify it later. So even today, we have examples of, I think Google is doing it, it's beta, that images, fake images or synthetic images that they create are being signed. So at the very least, these images, I can prove that they have been created by Google and are not from my camera, let's say.
Very interesting. Let's bring this to where we think this is going forward, both from a regulatory perspective and from a technology perspective. And Gilead, if you can put up the slides.
Oh, well, I don't see the slides, but there's one with ChatGPT. We don't have to expand on it too much.
Okay.
It's just to show that it's very available and easy to just, create images for fraud. And the next slide's with Will Smith. So again, I'm not seeing it, but it's a very interesting slide. What we're seeing here is only a year's gap of the technology. From 2023 to 2024, attempts of creating a synthetic video of Will Smith eating spaghetti. If you haven't met this before, I apologize. The first one is extremely disturbing. If you also know there was an attempt for some commercial with this, disturbing as hell. And when that finishes, you can see what we can do today, which is a huge leap. Some of them maybe, but
One is Will.
some of them for sure are not. It's a collection of stuff from YouTube. Some of them I know for sure are not. Maybe they put, but yeah. But you can look a little bit of, there is still a bit of, you can see some distortions in his face, some distortion in the movement. So it's not perfect.
And
but
we'll save folk from watching the 2023 version. They can look it up themselves.
yeah, the 2023 version is ridiculous. But yeah, all it's for is to show that the technology is moving very, very fast. And yeah.
So what do we do about that, Naama?
Well, first of all, we have two conflicted trends around being able to address those online services. So from COVID, from that point in history, we have a very strong trend towards online. More and more things you want to have people to get online and so forth, and that's economically reasonable and so forth. But then the fraud is getting more and more sophisticated and more elaborated, as we've seen here, some of the examples. So basically the challenge, I think, for banking and also for government to try to find that sweet spot where you can try to stop as many frauds as you can and still allow people to go online and to know where to mitigate each and every risk. And that's not a simple task to do. I would say that there would still be some services that we should not put online, but that should be the small portion of those services. And that's a very tricky risk. That means we have to look into technology all the time, to assess the performance of technology, to do it in a quick pace, and to see what to implement and what not, and what are the methods, and work much faster than we used to.
Do you see the government regulating social media companies and big tech?
Well, I think the big tech companies, social media companies, and in general, is a very hard thing to regulate, not only for the Israeli government, but also for like a much wider and much more influential governments around the world. We can see it in any area almost. So I would say that is very limited, and I think that the motivation for maybe the self-restriction of those social media companies should come from the public, would come from the public. I mean, the government should try to intervene, but I would suspect that wouldn't be enough. So maybe if the information in the social media would be something that most of us wouldn't believe that it is real, then the social media companies would have to implement more and more tools to scrutinize whatever goes online more and more.
And Roee, as far as I can tell from my own reporting, there are startups being founded now to use AI for content moderation and other things. Do you think there will be a technological solution to detecting deepfakes that will, I wouldn't call it a silver bullet, but that will put a major kneecap the problem in the near future?
This is very hard to say. Silver bullet for sure, no. Okay, one solution that will just solve all the problems, no way. Whatever will happen, the approach would have to be something that recognizes that there are different kinds of deepfakes, and there are different kinds of efforts you can put into detecting those deepfakes. So if you want to check every single video that goes on TikTok, you cannot use some of the great techniques that exist that may be able to detect if there's fakery there. It's just not financially viable. So you would have to have some sort of less good solution, but good enough. When it comes to transferring millions of dollars from the bank, that perhaps, yes, some solution. It may take a bit more time to process. Maybe it will be expensive, but of course worth it in that case. So I do believe there will be solutions, but they would have to adapt for the use case.
I wanted to ask this earlier, but I'll ask it now. Do you think the bigger problem is the mass popularization of deepfakes and the easiness it can be used for just good enough attacks? Or do you think it's more of the sophisticated attacks like we saw in Hong Kong that was an executive fraud where the person was convinced to transfer $25 million based on a deepfake where they had a Zoom meeting with multiple people who were being deepfaked? It was a much more sophisticated type of fraud.
Okay, so I'm sure Naama can answer this very well as well. So I'll just say, yeah. So in 2 words, I would say that, the cheap, widespread attack might destabilize society in a way. Social media, when everything might be fake and you don't know what you're seeing on social media, even if it's not the best of qualities, it's still pretty good quality. So that's one side. And the other side, really, for financial institutions, if they lose trust and they change their ways, it might, hurt business and hurt businesses. That's a different kind of issue, but yeah.
I think the right way to look at it is what would be the fraudster aim to achieve? If he aims to achieve $25 million, then he probably invests some more in the deep fakes and the quality and so forth. But if it's something that you want to do scale up, just give us mayhem and to panic the public, or maybe to scam somebody that is not so aware, does not have those tools, then maybe you would go to lower grade tools. I think there's a room for everything. That's one of the problems, and that's why it's a multi-layered approach, like Roee said, that you have to have in order to cope with all kinds of levels of assurance and levels of fraud. There's not one method or one silver bullet to look at it.
I think that's an excellent point to conclude on. Thank you, Naama. Thank you, Roee. And thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.